his character many times since, and that was only for a few days. Here we have someone who has spent most of her life as a drone, scarcely recalls not being one. That issue is now a central part of who she is and amplifies that issue.
And that board, don't forget me. We want her too. There are many who would enjoy a chance to repay one of them for what they did to us.
One thing that intrigues me about a Borg drone is that to be an assimilated Borg is to be both victim and victimizer. You were caught, forced against your will to undergo horrific, possibly agonizing transformations to your body, and then had your mind linked to others to eliminate all possible individual thought and think only of other things. From that moment on, you are an expendable tool, nothing more. You're irrelevant. You do your tasks and assimilate others just as you were, just as heedless of their pleas as yours were. But suppose you're one of those rare ones that are somehow disconnected from the collective. If you're like Picard, well, you could be lucky and have nothing more than a few personal grudges against you for what you've done. But if you're not so lucky, then you'll be with others who look on you as if you were still a Borg, still one of the ones who caused all that pain and destruction, even though you had nothing to do with it, any more than a drop of water has any say in what the tsunami does. But that doesn't matter, because they hate the Borg for what they've done. They were hurt and want to hurt them back. And they can't hurt the collective, but they can hurt you. You're an individual now, small, alone, helpless, and once again knowing that resistance is futile, that you're going to be the victim just like before. But they're not quite the same thing. Say what you will about the Borg, but they do what they do out of a misguided belief that they're helping you. Say what you will, the Borg never hurt you just to hear you scream. That's what I liked about 709, that background of her and the way it shaped her, the way it provided in its singular nature a multitude of character shades and opportunities. When done right, she has the personal growth of Data, the conflicted nature of Odo, and the dry, acerbic nature of Spock. I just wish they had put her in a bloody cat suit. Okay, back to the story. Seven seems to feel kind of bad for what she did, so she disables a drone in the midst of an assimilation so that he and his comrades can escape.
I am not Borg. I will help you escape.
Well, okay, I guess. Seven helps them get to a damaged ship where they can hide until the Borg leave and then make a run for it. They nod their appreciation, their extras. Seven returns to the Queen's chamber, who is pleased at the new minds that they've now added that will move them closer to perfection. But the up-close and personal sight of all these people who are in this situation because she aided the Borg has driven Seven to break out some of the nastiest stuff in her arsenal. Sarcasm. Oh, if this doesn't work, she may even resort to irony. In the midst of her tirade, the Queen senses the escaping ship and knows Seven helps. But when Seven starts pleading for it to be released, she gives in without comment or answer. I'm just feeling enigmatic right now. Back on Voyager during all this, Chakotay's been reading through the notes of the Raven, so he gets some more flashbacks. Some more drones are transferred to the Cube, and as the Hansons examine one, they realize it was once assigned to work near the Queen. So they tag it like a polar bear and release it back into the wild before its regeneration cycle is up. I thought they needed to regenerate in the alcove. Must work on Wi-Fi or something. Chakotay says the signals picked up from the drone match the ones that Janeway identified pointing at Cargo Bay 2. Janeway figures they should go after Seven and use whatever information the Hansons have to help them achieve that end.
I've studied their log entries long enough to realize that as brilliant as the Hansons were, they made a fatal mistake. They became overconfident.
They won't make the same mistake.
My plan will be to head to the heart of their territory, pass all their ships, storm to the throne room, and take Seven away by force if necessary. Overconfidence isn't a problem here. How's that? Because we have one thing the Borg are powerless against, something we used to defeat them before. A montage? Hell yes, a montage! Got us through their space, didn't it? Tom, Tuvok, the Doctor, and Janeway take out the Delta Flyer, which illustrates how silly this whole thing is of having the ace pilot also be the only nurse. Let's see, do you go with someone less qualified to fly the ship? Do you not bring the doctor? Or do you just leave Neelix in charge of sick bay? I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that was exactly what happened. Oh, that does sound serious. I prescribed some blue stuff. Oh, are you qualified? I have experienced treating humanoid life forms. Well, not humanoid life forms. Well, technically plants. Actually, I just watered some plants when I accidentally set off the sprinklers. Let's see what the blue stuff does. Anyway, our team heads after the sphere, aided by the transwarp coil. Transwarp in 4, 3, 2. Cross the threshold. Oh, great, it's salamander sex time. On the trip, Janeway starts reading through more of the Hansen journal, where it seems that an accident wound up causing their special cloak shield thingy to fail briefly. An exciting new toy for the Borg to play with, so soon the Raven is left to make a run for it. Little Annika is a bit worried that they're being chased by a ship about the same mass as Manhattan, and that hauls them over halfway across the galaxy by accident. But her father says it's all going to be okay. The long entry stops before we find out whether or not Annika was conscious when the Borg plucked her eyeball from her tiny skull.
I should have quit while we were ahead. 10 million terraquats a day, 3 years in the wild.
They could have studied the Borg for another 3 decades and still have barely scratched the surface. I agree their methods are unorthodox. That's been true of most great explorers.
Most explorers don't take their 4-year-old daughter along for the ride.
The doctor's come up with a plan to be able to communicate directly with Seven, and says not to worry if she's part of the hive mind, because only she can hear it. Of course, since her thoughts are part of the hive, and then on the usefulness scale of 1 to 10, this scores a jack point shit, but whatever. It's something to do until they arrive, I guess. Ah, and here we are. I wonder if there's anything to worry about. Looks perfectly safe to me. I give Operation Stupid Plan my full endorsement. A head full. On the Unicomplex, Queen gives Seven her job, the assimilation of humanity.
The physiology inefficient. Below average craving capacity. Minimal redundant system. Limited regenerative ability.
All in all, they suck. Your job is to assimilate them at all costs.
To detonate a biogenic charge for indefinitely. It would infect all life forms with nanoprobe viruses. Assimilation would be gradual.
You have the resource for the space so vast, Voyager can't even cross it in any reasonable length of time. You have enough to just build your own flipping super-duper mega city station in deep space for whatever reason. I'm sure you lost some ships in the war against ETA 472. But if you have the resources to send 2 cubes to take out one single planet, why do you need to resort to a probe with a nanoprobe virus to attack Earth? This is such a Dr. Evil plot. You mean you're not going to attack? No, I'm going to send a highly visible probe into their space and not actually witness their assimilation. I'll just assume it all went to plan. What? Well, why don't you send like 20 cubes or something, just assimilate the whole quadrant while you're at it? Seven, you just don't get it, do you? One probe. God, you do this every time. Seven isn't going to help with the assimilation of humanity or with this stupid plan. The Queen puts on the pressure, but she still refuses, so the Queen whips out her trump card. Jet opener first class, honey. Aren't you proud? Seven picks up the signal from the Delta Flyer, and just as predicted, the Queen's able to access her thoughts and learn about it. And because the Delta Flyer is using the cloaking tech Seven's father created, the Borg know all about it and can adapt. So instead, they'll have to use the backup plan. Use the magic armbands and head over there and rescue her. These will be the same armbands that Tuvok himself noted weren't working on the Seer. Oh, forget it.
It's not too late to save them.
With each passing moment, you make yourself more my servant. The Borg start making things hard for the Delta Flyer.
No use. They locked onto our shield modulators. They're adapting the second we change frequency.
We are orbit. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Wow, Tom's nightmare and waking moments wasn't this bad. Then again, worse than your nightmares is probably what all crew members expect right now. Janeway's able to use a trick on the armbands to get through the shields and shows up to offer an amazingly lame action hero line.
Build it into her setting. She's irrelevant.
God, the only way that could have sounded worse, Captain, was saying, resistance is whack, yo. And really, this whole part of the episode is so implausible. It's one of those weird times when substituting my homicidally insane Janeway would actually make more sense. How can you hope to defeat the Borg in their own lair?
With my